Okay, we're recording. Welcome to Pandorica Occultism 401. Uh, we'll hopefully have some other people join in soon. But it doesn't really matter. It's recorded so anyone can see it later. You don't need to be muted, by the way, because you're not on the recording. Anyways, yeah, we're doing this shit. Here's our obligatory warning and also links. The first presentation and then the server. It's right here. As it's obvious, this is complete fucking nonsense. It's all based off of religious history, which makes no sense if you've ever looked into it. But anyways, here's a recap if anybody missed it. So we have anima, the soul, ever-present essence that drives all things. All of this will be on the tests. Make sure you write that down. Write that down. The anima mundi is the world soul. The world is animated by a soul, much like the human body. It infuses with the cosmos life and intelligence. If there can be no life without the anima mundi, there can also be no intelligence without the anima mundi. There's also the anima temporalis. I just kind of cut you off there. Incredibly stupid that are still alive. What does that mean? Like, what are you actually asking? That they don't have a soul? People that are incredibly stupid but are still alive, aka someone who is brain dead, I assume is what you're trying to say. They still have a soul. It's like, even like basic kind of creatures still have a soul. Like a leaf, I guess you could say like a plant has a soul. Not as much anima as a person. That's my human primacy speaking over here. Humans are better than plants, I guess. You heard it here. But the anima temporalis is the sort of negative version of it, but that's not exactly true. It is simply the anima mundi of the quote rust world, and there's not very much info on it. It's not touched on very much at all in the server. It's sort of just a thing that exists that you can yell at and blame things for. You can still blame Dave. Doesn't like toasted ravioli. I like toasted ravioli. So maybe the anima temporalis and me are not so dissimilar. I mean, if it's like the anima mundi, it is animated much like the human body. So maybe we're all the same. Also, artifacts. It's our artifact system from Pandorica. Any object with an abnormal level of anima that is typically expected. This usually refers to only inanimate objects, but living things can match this definition in extreme cases, such as seraphs or Tobias. They are sort of considered an artifact because they are time-traveling things. Tobias is an even weirder case because he is both sort of seraph, sort of human, but also neither at the same time. It's very strange what he is. We also have the High One. He is just someone who has transcended humanity and helps protect the anima mundi. He entered the world around the same time as Tobias, but they never really made contact with each other. So, the timeline of Vintage Story untouched by server lore mostly. I hope that's basically just we sort of ask philosophical questions about the Vintage Stories timeline and the lore. I don't really want to counteract or retcon any info because that's kind of cringe. And I like to work with what I have. There's also the Protectoress Mundi, which is the group that the High One, that's the one that she made. And it helps protect the anima mundi. Also, the High One, he is also Sicilian. Just a fun fact about her. Here we have the universal forces that make up all of everything. This is literally taken I just copy pasted it from the previous presentation and changed a single letter, and it was just this hypothetical CPUs. I changed it to the NPU for the Noctilith processing unit that we'll get to later. So you have space, it's just matter, distance, and gravity. We also have the life force, which is complexity, cellular, biological, mechanical gears, and also the hypothetical, but not really hypothetical anymore because we literally made the Noctilith processing unit, is also the origin of will. Will. We also have time. We're pretty familiar with the time series as we play as serifs in the game. It's the essence of change, the essence of temporality. It is a universal constant. Time always moves forward, blah, blah, blah. It's also the origin of rot and rust. Though I kind of sort of disagree with that it's the origin of rot now, because I have sort of done a little more research onto rot, and it seems to be Negrito, which is the process of creating a Philosopher's Stone. And I sort of think that maybe Jonas had tried to make a Philosopher's Stone of some sort, and ended up accidentally creating the entire world as the fuel to turn it into the Philosopher's Stone. So he basically just devoured the entire planet and turned it to black sludge.
Holy shit, this is unironically a magic lecture.
Yes, it is. This is the Pandorica magic lecture.
Oh
We're
my fucking god, that's amazing.
yes, it's based off of history of religion, so it's nonsense. It's nonsense. There's a warning. There's a warning at the start of this presentation. I'll link this presentation at the end. You can also look in the servers and just search Pandorica. We're up there. But yeah, this is about our magic system, which is crazy and nonsense.
That is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Put a lot of effort into it. Anyone can join.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm gonna join later.
Cults.
I
There's many cults. We're gonna get to that.
oh my god, amen to that. I do have to go and water my crabs.
That's
But
yeah. You can water your crabs. This is being recorded. No audio. No audio is being recorded except for my voice. So your privacy is being respected.
amen to that. I do gotta go boil my crabs. So yeah, I will maybe return later. Who knows?
Okay, this will be on YouTube later.
I gotta walk my catfish. You know how it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but
Anyways, yeah. Back onto the universal forces. We have the force of will, which is the strongest force of all, and it is the origin of a lot of good and very, very bad things. It is the emergent force of living things. If there is no will, there is no way for life to know what to do, and it will be effectively inanimate because it doesn't have any will to move, to do anything. Will doesn't essentially mean sentience either. It is just the drive for something to do something else. You could say a bomb has a lot of will because it really wants to explode. Same, it is also, will is the origin of anima, the soul. There's also light, which is more or less just energy, heat, sound, and it's the origin of instability. Earlier on, we had an incident with the sun, which, as you can see, the sun's pretty hot, pretty bright. It's very unstable. We did a very anima-heavy ritual, and we ended up allowing the sun to be attacked by a very animus entity, and it ate the sun, and we had no sun for a while. Oopsies. Here's some notable artifacts on the server. We have Oddity Gaming, the oddities. Oddities are a class of artifacts. They're basically things that don't really fit into anything. They're strange. They have unusual properties. There's only one that's currently in, but there's a whole list of them that I have just ready to throw at people at any given time. If you do a ritual and you fuck it up, you'll be blessed, or rather, you'll be cursed with me placing down an evil, very powerful artifact right in front of you, and it's now your problem to deal with it. One example is, I'm trying to think one that, the Eye of Gestalt, which is not currently being used, So it's not like I'm doxing someone's secret artifact practices. The Eye of Gestalt is an eyeball that is, it's Gestalt, meaning it is linked with every other instance of Gestalt eyes. You can perceive anything that any other eye is perceiving so long as you are holding it, which can let you see some things that should not be seen, or some very useful information stealing. It's all depending on how you use it. There's also the Noctilith. This was the antagonist of Season 1 of Pandorica. It's this evil black monolith that appeared. It is very old and is near indestructible. It absorbs the soul and sends it to somewhere. In the process, it also terraforms the region around it. In this picture, you can see devastation all around it, but you can also see grass right around it. This is actually Terra Preta. So it does terraform it for some reason through mysterious methods. But it's also extremely dangerous and will drain your stability to 0 within seconds of standing near it. It is also what ate the sun after the players, pissed it off. And the Neo Soul was the player's response to needing the sun back. The Rotless Crown is the first ever artifact that I ever wrote. It's what kind of inspired me to keep going and make this whole system. So we have to thank the Rotless Crown for basically the entire gimmick of the server. So congratulate this cool piece of gold, I guess. On the server, in the Discord, there's entries for each artifact in a big forum. You can just search Rotless Crown. You can read all the funny short stories about it. I see Oddity is typing. Congratulations, Rotless Crown. Anyways, the Long Night here. Nope, hello. This is the Long Night. Now we have pictured the green line devouring the sun, which is a alchemical sort of symbol. I think it's about devouring the ego, if I recall. But the Long Night was an incident on the server where the players failed a suppression ritual, which is a ritual in which you suppress a dangerous item. But they didn't tune it properly, so the Noctilith just got really pissed off and consumed the sun.
And lo, darkness has befallen over the land.
I set the I set the fog to be pitch black and aggressively thick, so players could literally not see anything except for like 3 feet in front of them. This had the fun side effect of shiver jump scares being substantially scarier. The players took matters into their own hands, and after 4 days of real time, they built this Neo Soul, which is a gigantic chiseled structure. We have a picture of it right here. Each of these are chiseled blocks. They're all made of rare stones, obsidian, jasper, jade. They also are all creative glows, all built in survival. So that was actually incredibly impressive on them. And the ruins.
This is what we like to call desperate times.
Yeah, desperate times call for desperate measures. They wanted the sun. They wanted to see outside. They wanted to feel the warmth of a summer sun on their cheek. And the ruins of the Neo Soul, after the season ended, you can still find the Neo Soul. It's in Aldenocht, which is a public location that you can just visit.
I have to say, I'm glad I stopped myself from making a GIF.
Don't worry. Your audio isn't like being recorded. Only I get to be heard.
Said, and I quote, to feel the summer sun on their cheeks, and I almost said which cheek.
Both cheeks, obviously. Anyways, the Temporal Slingshot. This is what ended Season 1 of Pandorica. It is effectively, we sped up time to the point where we created the new universe. With the help of the High One and her group, The players use the Noctilith processing unit. They use the corpse of a dead god, more or less, to align the universe with the other half of the Vault, which is a special ruin, which will be important later in Season 2. This resulted in time accelerating exponentially faster until the server crashed. Until the universe ended, I mean, and we looped back around. The NPU, the Noctilith Processing Unit, it possesses powers mortals can scarcely comprehend, let alone utilize. I guarantee nobody knows how it works. It just simply did the thing. They moved all over the world. They built structures thousands of blocks apart. They used the entire world soul to their advantage to create a black hole to dilate time, more or less. Any questions so far?
I was gonna say something, but I decided against it.
That's hilarious. What in chat, Ali said we couldn't kill the monsters before they healed because the regen rate from the time was so fast you could not out damage normal enemies. Apparently,
Yeah, no.
you also couldn't eat because the food rotted before you ate it. The animation was too slow. They had fat, chests of fat because it didn't spoil, which is pretty clever. That was pretty clever on their part. Now we're getting into actually new content that people haven't seen before. So we're talking about I'll get to questions after I'll leave some typing, but yeah, you kept yeah, it just ate through your hunger because of the time. The Anima Concetto. Anima Concetto is also, it translates to conceptual souls. You could also just call them concetti. Is what happens when a lot of animus will is concentrated around a certain concept, such as music, craftsmanship, culture, hunger, growth, or death. By this definition, though, the high one, the Noctilith, they don't even fall into this category, nor does the Anima Mundi either. Though each of these easily have as much influence over the world, if not significantly more, than the concetti. As a game mechanic, this means that each member of staff has created their own Anima Concetto, each with their own, mostly self-contained storylines. Concetto can't say their own names, and they also can't identify themselves, but they all have unique ways of talking, and it's on the player to determine who they're talking to based on the way they talk and the sort of words that it chooses to speak with. Some of them don't even speak at all. They only communicate through texts. Some actually use music, and so on. So we're going to have a little story here. We're going to have a little story. So before the universe, there was nothing. If you've seen Bill Wirtz, you know this one. Insanity. So before the universe, there was nothing. But in order to have nothing, there must be everything, everywhere. But without space or time, everything and nothing was in one place. You have infinitely small, infinitely dense, infinite force wanting to burst outwards. With all that concept... No, I don't speak Japanese, I'm sorry. All that energy has one concept in mind, though. And that is... to grow. And this is the origin of the first ever Konsetti. Azazel, which we actually already saw. He's at the very start. This is a good representation of Azazel, the first thought of the universe. Now we have to scroll all the way back. So, fun fact, the Big Bang at the Planck time was approximately 100 million degrees Kelvin. Pretty toasty. We'll get back to Azazel at the end of this, but we also have a sort of thought experiment. So if this universe contains everything and was created by the Big Bang, then what created the Big Bang? What gave the formless nothing thought to expand? If there were no laws of the universe, how would it know to expand? Then, what created that? And so on. And this is a completely nonsensical question. To ask this question means you've actually already refused to answer it, because logical thought processes fail to approach this question in any meaningful way, just as you cannot think of something impossible as by thinking it, the thought has already been proven possible. If there is an answer to this question, it is something that doesn't matter to us, or it's something that we can't make sense of. So here's an even more interesting question. Thinking about the world is good. Try asking some thought-provoking questions every once in a while you're like this one, taken from our incredible MERP. Is the world round or flat? Quotes in lore. Anybody have an answer to this question? This is a really good one. I don't think it's Stegosaurus shaped. I actually think it's Velociraptor. Anyways, this question is now permanently pinned in the Pandorica speculation chat because of how I just had a fucking mental breakdown reading it. Why did you ask me this question? It's just why? Velociraptor. Someone's typing. Is that Honor Boss you typing? It's like a Stegosaurus or Velociraptor shape. It is a big old spaghetti noodle. You know, maybe you're onto something, Honor. Maybe that's what string theory is. But anyways, we have the races of Pandorica here. We know the Seraphim, exactly as you know them in game, animated by anima, just as humans are, canon respawning through, I don't know, time stuff. Due to tons of player customization, there's also plenty of sort of subspecies of the Seraphim, such as the goblins, elves, satyrs, and other common fantasy creatures through, like, horns, ears, height changes, etc. They're technically still Seraphim, though, because it's kind of lore unfriendly to have actual human players, because if you die, you immediately are doing fail RP. But canonically, the real humans are the villagers and the traders, and maybe Tobias. I don't know what he's supposed to be. Unless you want to play in hardcore mode, a player role-playing as a human race always commits fail RP when they respawn, or simply by having temporal stability as well. Skeletons are a type of animated corpse. Yes, Tobias is a secret fifth thing. I agree, Oddity. Skeletons are just some sort of occultic animated corpse. Very simple. We also have our custom race, the Crystal Seraph. They also have a subspecies called the Noctals. Rimworld reference. Who have crystallized forms or merged with fragments of Noctilith during the temporal slingshot, when all the weird timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly stuff happened. Here's more on the Crystal Seraphs and the Noctals. Seraphs who were sufficiently unlucky is a way to say it during this the temporal slingshot went under crystallization. The Crystal Seraphs have a unique method of respawning, unique to their own lore. It's heavily influenced by the temporal slingshot. They also take heavy inspiration from the Bones, or the Lustrous, from H&K, as pictured here. We have Phos and Ghost Knight? Carnivore. Carnigorm? I don't know how to say her name. It's really hard. It's an R and a G and an N. It's weird. Anyways, something in the far future collects each of the Crystal Seraphs after they've died and performs a ritual to send them back in time right after they perished. On extremely rare cases, Crystal Seraphs have been known to remember future events, though deja vu is pretty much the limit of their future memory abilities. On the other hand, Noctals, they're very simple. They have big, evil, cursed obelisk that puts them back together for them. This is also why the Noctilith no longer exponentially grows and tries to consume the universe, is because it's constantly busy repairing the Noctals. So, bonus points for tormenting an elder god of some kind. Honor Ross just asked a question. So to get rid of the Noctilith, we need to mass murder the crystals. I don't really understand what you mean by that. The Noctilith is a unique object where it's not really damageable under normal means. The only way we were able to kill it was with help of the High One sending a near light speed Jade Spear through it and using probably a bazillion different spells at once to overwhelm it and turn it to salt. And even then, it didn't kill it because it already started to regrow by the time Season 2 rolled around. It's more so the Noctilith is constantly busy putting itself back together because it perceives the Noctils as itself because it has pieces of it inside of them. Also, every wipe is canon. Season 1 veterans, you may remember this sort of throwaway phrase I had in one of the books towards the end, sort of the second cycle when referring to Azazel. Season 1 was cycle 6, and currently we are in the 7th cycle. The seasons and cycles, they have no real correlation. So you can start a cycle without actually doing a wipe, but usually it does. But we started on cycle 6. Every wipe, excluding the test server at the very beginning, is canon to the timeline. Artifacts, player books, and large player towns are exported as giant world edit files, and much to the dismay of my players, lags the shit out of the server when I place them in. We also turn them into ruins. Players, after each season, will have a handful of players help out turning their own buildings into ruins, and then I export it all to the best of my ability. Items, artifacts from the test server are considered ambiguous origin now. Yeah, I lost 15% of these Landy. I did copy paste 85% of the entire island though. That's pretty good. But yeah, items and artifacts from the test server are just ambiguous origin since the test server technically didn't happen because it was before we even had a cohesive timeline or story at all for Pandorica. So now we're getting on to the actual reason I'm even doing this is the rituals and the occult part of the presentation. Hooray! Hooray! Where can you read about rituals and artifacts? Thank you, Vegeta, for asking such a wondrous question. In the Pandorica Discord, under Artifact Compendium, you can search FAQ in the forum to find the entry about artifacts and rituals. You can also click on these links when I send this whole presentation out, and this links directly to it. Rituals require an admin in order to perform at this time. It is planned to have some simpler rituals be automated, such as the Ritual of the Homeless, where you get drunk and stand in a circle and chant, "The world is my oyster, and I am the pearl," and then you get teleported randomly. Y coordinate is also random, so if possible, we want this to be completely automated. So you can just do this over and over again. You also would wonder why take the risk? Because whenever you do a ritual, there's a risk of a failure rate, which has we have a big old wheel of evil things that can happen to you. And the more volatile your ritual is, the higher chance it's going to be a dangerous sort of rebound, I guess. But more or less, the chances are the same. If you try to make Atlantis, or if you are trying to turn a single block of dirt into better dirt, you still have the same chance of failure with our sort of compounding and then resetting failure rate wheel system. We just need some randomness. Welcome to the presentation, new person.
Teaching magic. Well, okay.
Yeah, we're teaching magic. It is as nonsensical as you think. Don't worry, you can. This is not Rustbound. This is way worse.
Oh, it's which one is this?
This is we have a team of admins that do funny things when you do things in a certain way. And we have a whole article in our Discord about custom artifacts, custom rituals. You can get drunk, stand in a circle, and you get teleported randomly.
Drunken Santa and a
But here's some other things you can do with rituals, such as enchanting your tools, weapons, and armor, because the enchanting in the normal way is completely disabled. I've gutted the mod. You can't even do it. So you have to go through the weird artifact system of caring for your tools, making sure they don't break as much, repairing them, tuck them into bed at night, give them a kiss goodnight, and polish them, sharpen them, and then they get enchants based on the type of life that you've let it live. For instance, Glacier's knife used for pie cutting has a little bit of it has like a fire aspect because it's used to sear the pies.
You know what you should add minus Drunk Santa? There is a meme that exists, I forgot what it's called, where it's apparently just a aluminum foil, like Santa spider or something like that, that apparently gives nightmares, and I feel like that would be a funny addition you should add.
That sounds like a funny artifact you just mentioned.
It's seriously just an aluminum foil Santa that just looks like a spider, that's it. And it just has a stupid Santa face on it.
Yeah. Anyways, so you can enchant your tools. You can ask questions about the universe, and maybe get an answer. You can also sometimes get struck by lightning if your question is stupid. Make sure you have a lightning rod. It's a common thing, is getting struck by lightning. So if you have a lightning rod, we can't strike you with lightning. Lightning rods are for cowards. This is true. Take the lightning in the face, like a true Chad. You can get blessings of good fortune or curses of bad fortune, similar to actual magic practices of early Christianity, I think, where you would write the name of somebody you didn't like, and then you'd write what you wanted to happen to them, or things you want to have bad, like them to have bad luck with, and you would take a nail and strike it through this clay tablet, and then that would mean, like, all right, your thing is done. They are now cursed with bad luck. And I think we found a basement in, I don't know, somewhere in Europe, I think. I don't remember. It's been a while since I looked at this article. But it was this basement that was just full of, like, dozens and dozens and dozens of these clay tablets with nails through them. You can also destroy entire mountains. Someone did that one time where they basically they pretended to have a fake Noctilet. So they sent a big surge of anima all at once, and they sort of, obelisk-shaped building. And they had someone from the other side of the giant evil rift that they opened to send a giant spear of jade into a mountain, and it just flattened the mountain down to mantle. Because they just, like, pretended, oh my god, look, evil obelisk, and they just had an ICBM launched at them. They wanted to do this, by the way. Like, they specifically wanted to. Very flexible. Obviously, we're not going to be using it for griefing, because an admin has to do it, obviously. There's checks, obviously, for this. Interdimensional ballistic jade spear. Lance of Longin, this type shit. You can unleash some horrors. You can salt your own crop fields if you really wanted to. Have a famine. Give yourself a famine. You can create the city of Atlantis again if you want a new city of Atlantis. The possibilities are endless, but never without great cost and especially risk. Ritual concepts. Alright. So rituals and occultism are open-ended practice. Only mystics have the power to initiate rituals, but afterwards they can hand off the reins to another player to continue this ritual, unless it's specifically mentioned that the mystic has to continue doing something in the text where you learned about this ritual. Mystics can begin the awakening ritual, for example, and then allow the tool owner to continue it, allowing the original tool owner to be the one to enchant their weapon or tool, because they know the most about it. And to do the awakening ritual, you need to talk about your tool for 5 minutes straight. And if you stop talking about it or you start making shit up, it's going to turn your tool to salt. Rituals revolve around the aspect of releasing, infusing, or otherwise manipulating anima in a specific way. That's going to be on the test, guys. It's going to be on the test. So we're going to go back to the importance of jade and carving on it. Right here, this is the emerald tablet of... Shoot, I don't remember who carved it. It's a weird name. Something Hermes. Hermit. It's Hermetism. It's based off of something Hermes? I forget his name. I'll have to look at the Wikipedia article again. But jade is an important component in rituals. Also has unique properties not really seen in any other rock. Mostly it's magic, and most rocks aren't magic. They don't have magic souls in them. I don't know if you've ever tried to get two rocks bashing together. They don't really scream very much. So jade tablets also don't scream, but the idea is hypothetically possible. Jade tablets are a stand-in for the emerald tablets of alchemy. Hermes Trismegistus. Yes. That's who he was. Jade tablets are good because they're remarkably resilient to temporal disturbances for some mysterious reason. Probably because it's anima, and that's the anti to instability, which is temporal instability. And then carry anima within them for basic protection spells as well. So we gotta ask the big questions. How do anima gets into rock? This is something that I think has been asked a couple times and never really answered about how anima gets in there. And I think I've come up with a pretty decent way to do it. So jade is a conductor, similar to how copper conducts electricity. Jade conducts anima in the soul. It absorbs anima passively and extremely slowly because there's not really a lot of it. Just, floating in the air because it's already, being used. Without human intervention, there's no easy way to recharge depleted stone. Once jade is completely drained and it converts to salt or chalk, once it's at that stage, no amount of experimentation is going to reverse that. By turning to salt, you have removed all spirit from it, because salt is the body, or it is our matter. The act of praying, however, and reverence over time can re-infuse jade stones with the person that is praying's own energy directly out of their animus, their soul. This is still very slow, and it's slow enough that you actually aren't going to hurt yourself doing this. You're not going to suck your soul out and put into a rock. You're in no phylacteries. It's not happening. It's only the real only method of adding more anima to jade. There's also plenty of room for interpretation. You can't, no oddity. You can't have jade suck you dry. You can't suck your soul out. There's plenty of room for interpretation. These two on the left, these are the same ritual, actually. It's a spiral towards the center for doing the succession ritual. And they look similar, but a little bit different. This one has a little thingy at the top. This one doesn't. Honor is talking. It took you 2 hours to figure out what a spiral shape is. Well, you did a great job. And on the right here, this is Arbor Harbor, which is they have a city-wide ritual circle of protection. And I believe it's mostly intact. The road is mostly intact, at least, after it was turned to ruins and imported. As long as you follow the guidelines, there's tons of room for customization with these when making rituals and circles and all sorts of weird, wacky shenanigans. And here's some more examples. So this is just a circle. This was for the ritual of the homeless. You only needed to make a singular circle, but over-designing it probably has some sort of benefit to you. Maybe you have a higher chance of it working. Or maybe it has a higher chance of ripping you in half. There's no real way to know until you try. Remember, technically correct is still correct. And also this is the double helix structure, even if it's blocky, it does still count as a double helix. Isn't this technically an oval? Well, isn't an oval a circle? It's still circular. It's a closed shape. Even if it's blocky, this helix structure still counts for the for when they did the temporal slingshot ritual. Over here is the on the bottom left is the Awakening Island site. This was a very specific and highly detailed sort of ritual circle that needed specific measurements. It's like, all right, you need 5 points. Create a regular pentagon. You just plate it with gold, and then you put phosphor. It's extremely detailed. So you have to follow the directions very closely. But aside from doing the bare minimum too, you can do the bare minimum, but then you can also over-design it too. This is obviously theoretically the bare minimum. Actually, no. The bare minimum would look a little uglier. You could, I guess, the bare minimum. Let me think. Was there a size requirement or a size maximum for this ritual? I don't remember. If there wasn't, you could just make it out of full blocks, and it would just be comically. You could make a comically large one with full blocks. You would then need about a bazillion blocks of gold, but you could do it. I don't know what on earth you'd need to. You can do full blocks. Chiseling sucks. It can be slow. I agree. There's also the benefits of ritual customization. If you this is a really beautiful one. This very unstable ritual room, and while you can see all these hands jutting out, because they're human hands, they're humanoid, which is an animus factor. It actually helps it be more neutral. So it's not infinity instability as this looks. So you can have a absolutely psychotic room still be actually very stable. Going all out is not only for looks, though. It's a room of stability. Certain shapes, materials, and locations can influence how the ritual functions, or rather, how it doesn't function. And here's a nice colored square for you guys. Anima, instability, and other factors. Rituals all have an innate attunement, ranging from highly animist or unstable, best visualized on this sliding scale. Jade, rose quartz, humanoid statues, speaking in hushed whispers are considered animus. The speaking in hushed whispers is new. I just added that in because I like the idea of you being very reverent and respectful, and that should be more animus. You're sort of whispering to the anima mundi to consider your offerings. And the opposite is, of course, screaming and shouting with violence. So we have Jasper, violent shouting, Molybdo Chancos. Yes, a Roman Catholic church would be pretty stable. That makes sense. I think that would make the most sense. But also a cave a cave that's just, really quiet would also be pretty good. With jade lining the walls, it'd be pretty much just as good, but it wouldn't look as pretty. Abstract statues and Suevite are considered unstable. There's also a sweet spot between these, because if you go perfectly in the center, you're perfectly neutral and the ritual can't start. By having it perfectly neutral, there is no distinction between you or the ritual in the normal world. Therefore, it's unable to actually even know what's happening. If you trap a bell, that would be incredibly unstable. Correct. That'd be also pretty impressive. So if you have a very extremely animus ritual, it'd be perfectly stable, almost guaranteed to work, but it'd be pretty low strength. As with an extremely unstable, it would be maximally chaotic. You would have no idea what's going to happen when you pull this lever, but it's going to be crazy. You might even blow up your entire town. Probably won't, because that would make people rage quit, and that would be kind of awful. But the thought of it possibly happening is there. We also have the concept of appeasement for these Consetti. from before. They're powerful forces, and appeasing and negotiating with them, as well as attuning their ritual to a specific concetti, are key to success. Welcome to Occultism 401, new person.
What's going on?
This is our server's magic system. I'm putting it in the presentation because it's insane. It is insane. It's based off real religion.
Down to how late am I?
Oh, don't worry. It's recorded. Your audio's not recorded. It's just my audio, me talking, and then this presentation. So, what slide are we on? I think we're halfway. But yeah, this is the Pandorica's magic system. We're on appeasement of spirits right now. Here's some ritual circles that people have built, that they function. They don't just look crazy, they function crazy.
Wait, what do you mean
They do shit.
they function?
They do shit. This circle right here, if you get drunk and stand on it, you get teleported randomly across the world. In this one with the hexagon, if you sit in there with an item that you've spent like weeks of your real life time with, you have to talk for 5 minutes and then it gets enchanted with something based on how the tool's life has been lived. And if you stop talking, it turns to salt because you clearly didn't love your tool enough.
Somebody sounds great and somebody sounds really weird.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
Like a good weird.
Yeah.
Like someone made some magical implements and just forgot about half of them.
Yes, it is nonsense. It's all recorded. There's all like in the Discord we have a dedicated forum that just lists all the rituals that you could do with extreme detail about everything. But anyways, back to appeasement. Predicting which anima conceto or anima soul will appear and who is currently listening is not always possible or feasible. Quick wits and improv are important to success, but pre-planning can aid in nudging them in your direction. It is also extremely important you never make a promise you cannot keep. They will forming a binding vow with a concetti. You are expected to never break it, and renegotiating your terms are considered highly insulting, and they may make steeper demands of you in return. For anyone still new and don't remember what concetti are, the concetti are the roleplay characters of the admins doing your rituals. Each admin has their own character that has unique ways of speaking, and that's how you identify them. So we're getting on to more abstract things of the benefits of custom religion. This is more RP stuff. But one of the biggest rules in Pandorica's world building is there is no actual god or creator of the universe. It's all ambiguous. The animal conceto are an emergent factor of natural forces. Even Azazel, the first thought of the universe, is an emergent factor of the universe being formed. It is not impossible for players to create their own animal conceto with enough devotion over a long period of time. You can, like 40k, create a new god, in theory. Oh. But that's very, very, very dangerous to do. God, you don't want to... No, please don't make Slanesh. No, not Nurgle either. Is Nurgle the god of rot? The rot consumes.
Yeah, and Cole, he's got a wall.
Actually, wouldn't a concetti of the rot would be one of alchemy? Because the rot was Negrito, wasn't it?
Zinch is the god of knowledge.
Knowledge, yeah. Of transformation. That would be the rot. Yeah, creating your own conceptual spirit would no doubt be incredibly useful endeavor, because when you make your own spirit that you're going to be using for all your rituals, that's really useful because you can pre-create and sort of form them like your child, raising your child to be aligned with your beliefs. So obviously, if you have a religion and then you make a new sort of more or less a god after you've already had a religion, well, it makes doing rituals in that religion pretty easy. We're in a presentation. It's a lecture hall.
Oh.
Yeah,
I got indoctrinated fast.
yeah. This is our Occultism 401. This is advanced course. This is Anyways, creating cool custom builds and chisel works for religious or ritualistic practices. Obviously, going to give everybody a real material advantage as well when performing rituals, when you're attempting to appease the spirits, as, appeasement. Good thing that the soundboard doesn't pick up on the audio. Anyways, there's also dangers of making a custom religion. By opening the door, this is more RP sort of conflict. But we do have a systemic war system where it's basically capture the flag. You set an area and it's capture the flag. Whoever wins and capture the flag wins the wars, and you get to make demands to the other side. It's a pretty not griefy, kind of fun way to kill people that you RP culturally don't like. And if you are actually racist, we will ban you because it's not cool. In-game racism, that's a very fine line. You can tell when someone's doing in-game racism and when they're actually being racist and just pretending that it's in-game. There's a fine line you walk. we all have that. Yeah, we all have that one guy. You can I forget that we have a derogatory term for the noctals. The noctal serifs are called the noctaloids. Oh my god. By opening the door to creation of custom religions, there's a risk of RP-related conflicts between different ideologies. I already talked about this sort of capture the flag war system that's like anti-griefing. You can grief the capture the flag sites because you build them knowing that they're going to be blown up and stuff. Admins also make sure rituals and religious shenanigans are kept fair and both parties consent to both war and being speared with a giant jade spike that flattens the earth. This is sort of the end. Yeah. This is the bit more on Azazel. The first thought of the universe. It is a formless collection of thinking, twisting, never expanding nerve tissue. By the way, this is basically the antagonist. You're gonna use your antagonist for season 2 of Pandorica, by the way. If that wasn't pretty clear. Yes, he loves it when you do that. Yes. He is the first ever instance of an anima conceto, the only and first anima conceto that achieved the physical body. Is known by many aliases, is the first thought, the demon of the second cycle. He's also called the Nobody, to name a few. And turns out 100 annealing degrees is enough to kill literally anything, even him. So Azazel wasn't present in the universe until a certain time machine allowed him to escape the heat of the Big Bang. The story of Azazel is still being told, but the biblical Azazel name has been chosen for its significance. And we're at the end here. This is question time, but yeah. Oh, I forget I had Vegeta in here. You can join the server anytime. This is for the Pandorica server. This is our custom magic system. You can literally go join. Just go look up the server in server list. Vintage Story. Pandorica. Pandorica. Let's type it in the chat. It's the same name. Also, the oddities is we just have Oddity Gaming's Discord. This is one of our staff. Hypothetically, if you do a ritual and you do a failure, if you roll a failure on the ritual, there is a non-zero chance I just teleport Oddity at you and he kills you. Because he technically is in the pool of things. Yeah, there's a whitelisting process. It's pretty quick, though. Oh, yeah. If you need to see this presentation, you can easily do that. I'm going to put it in announcements in the Pandorica server and pin it. Actually, I'm going to put it in the FAQ and pin it. Oh, it's late winter right now. We got plenty of people. We're like we could support new players. Cool abilities, maybe, but most of the how we have it for unique things is we can mess with the temporal stability of a region. We can enchant things because enchantments are completely gutted. You can only get enchantments through our weird psychotic magic system.
So I can't sacrifice about 20 people and turn the entire landscape into a flesh mush.
I mean, you definitely could. That's like totally possible, but you have to like get permission if it's like in a city. You have to get everyone on board with it, like in RP. Not like they can RP like be against it, but like you have to like they have to consent to this, to having their house grieved by flesh monster.
Oh my goodness. Prepare for my arrival, man.
Yes.
Invincible fighting game now.
Also, did anyone pick up on how I keep changing the gender of the high one? Has anyone noticed that?
What's the high one? I need to re-see this lore because I only came halfway through.
Yeah, here's the recap. You got the anima. Anima is the soul. Anima mundi is the world soul. It gives life and intelligence to everything. The anima temporalis is effectively the world soul of the Rust world. Barely even a thing that even happens in the server. It's like referenced once. Artifacts are anything with a normal amount of soul in them than is usually expected. Like a sentient sword, that's an artifact.
Sorry, you just made me a little wet. Sentient sword.
The Protectorus Mundi is the group that the High One created after emerging from the time machine. Also, don't forget that the universal force of life is the origin of will.
So if you have the will to live, you live.
Yes. But someone else's will, such as the will of me driving a sword through you, is likely way stronger than any sort of will you could do against it.
So I'm just gonna die mysteriously.
Well, yeah, a sword going in, like, stabbing you is typically lethal.
Yeah. I mean, I'd hope so.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay, I just need to give them my village story name, right?
Yeah, and I can add you. Also, here's a cool philosophical question, if anyone, about the universe and how things exist. This is just a fun thought experiment. This presentation or the magic system? The magic system is slowly been built up over like several months. Yes, it's a mod pack. It is pinned in the server thread in the Vince's story. I think it's also somewhere in FAQ.
Idea of the religion, along with the
I just want to sacrifice a bunch of people. I don't know about you.
That's totally chill. Sacrifice all the people you want.
see, like, I wish more server owners were like that, like be like that, you know?
Yeah, it's all based off of consent, though, obviously. But if we're all adults here, we consent to killing each other. That you should be allowed to do that.
It's like, yikes, dude. I've played on enough Minecraft servers.
There's this one Minecraft server that inspired me to do all this, like a long time ago. It was some weird medieval. It was probably the largest medieval factions geopolitics server. I never played it, but I loved it. They also had this weird magic system where like the admins would like. There's this one crazy one where they had dozens of players like prayed and did some sacrifices, and they sunk an enemy city below sea level and turned it into Atlantis. Yeah.
Oh, my health is on right quick. That's nice. Y'all ever play Starfield?
Oh yeah, here's a good question. Is the world round or flat? This was a real question I was asked, and I crashed out over it. They asked me this, like, is the world round or flat in lore? And I asked them, is your brain wrinkly or smooth in lore? I think that's the only logical answer to this question.
You know what the mod is in the specific Discord?
What the magic? We don't have a magic mod. This is all done through RP and admins doing server commands and madness. Yeah, it'll do that. It'll do it automatically. It's like Gmod. Pandorica Online. It's an FAQ. If you have a question, look in the FAQ chat. It should be at the top. Is it not automatically in your list? Oh, the Pandorica has an FAQ chat.
Frequently asked questions.
Yes. There should be a mod. Yep, mod list is in there as well. There's some good FAQs in here. Yeah, yeah. It. Yeah, we mpreg reacted. So
Impregnated someone?
we male pregnant reacted them nonstop. They deserve that.
24 as well.
Yep.
I think I can stop the recording. I don't think we're covering new topics here.